give this maybe a minute or two to get going, but we've got an incredible session today. Jay, you and I have met on multiple times and had incredibly in-depth conversations about the state of lead gen, how to build your agency. There's so many topics like, we both have kind of tools that help people reply, right? We've got Rev Reply. You guys have your a similar tool. There's so many things that we've really like deep dove on. But one of the things that we actually haven't spent that much time on is you. And you have created, I think, one of the most recognizable brands in in this space because you have done such a phenomenal job of social selling yourself. And I think that that's one of the things that people really struggle with, myself included, right? I'll just say this, I have trouble sometimes posting 3 times a week and it takes forever. And even then it's really tough. But like if anyone that's really experienced in the space, they would probably give the same advice, which is post every day. And you yourself right now are in a period where you're really going to focus on blowing up the Lead Gen J brand even further from our quick conversation. And that's going to require building out more content, more courses, more everything. And so we live in a world where AI can shorten the time to do a lot of this. Um, but yeah, you've dialed it in and made it, turned it from a hobby to an art, or elevated it from a craft to a master craft, right? So let's spend a little bit of time. Of course, why don't you do a quick introduction for those of you that have been living under a rock and don't have never heard of Lead Gen J or seen your YouTube videos or your thumbnails popping up. So why don't you give a quick introduction and we can kind of free form it today on how people can build their brand better and any other angles that you want to go down. Like I'm happy to just kind of veer off today and keep it super casual because everything that we usually talk about, you can always find a couple gold nugget takeaways in just chatting about this.
Sounds good to me, and thank you, Christian. I always love our conversations. And hello, everybody. Coming to you right now from my new bedroom in my Miami condo. My contractor's in there fixing up the studio, so I apologize for the audio and video. But yeah, a little background about me. Before I was Lead Gen J, I was actually Dr. J. I went all the way through medical school, did training in family medicine, and halfway through medical school, I started my first social media marketing agency. So I got really into the marketing space, year two in medical school. And then eventually decided to leave medicine because I was miserable there, making a bunch of money in marketing, and grew what my current agency is, Otter PR. So we've got about 60 staff across 2 offices, and we do traditional PR coverage for big enterprise companies, software companies. And my role there has evolved into, you know, CMO, visionary. So I'm now managing our marketing team. And while I was doing all of that, I probably started about 2 years ago, I started to create content on YouTube, just kind of showcasing some of the stuff that I was doing inside of my agency. One of those main things being cold email. I actually never planned to be like a cold outreach expert. I run all of our marketing at Otter. I do our search ads, I do our social ads, I do our SEO, I do a lot of our web and funnel and conversion optimization. So I was making videos about everything. I made a couple of videos about cold email and those popped off. So decided to lean in and here we are today. So now I'm Lead Gen J and I talk a lot about cold outreach automation, AI, and now I've got one of the biggest lead generation communities on school. I think we've got 17,000 members now. Um, and like you mentioned, I'm doubling down on that. I've seen the power of it. I've had a blast coaching and teaching and working with other businesses. So I moved to Miami and I'm going to be stepping back a little bit in my role at Otter and going hard on this content thing. But it is something I've had to figure out kind of over the years, how to balance it. How do you post twice a week while you're running a large company and dealing with staff and clients and business partners? So hopefully I'm able to offer some guidance there and just show you what I did. And it's worked so far, and hopefully we get to see the results when I get to go all in.
I love that. So let's sell the sizzle. So a couple things to talk about here. You've built the school community to 17,000, huge following, right? Um, the YouTube is massive, right? Probably like, is it like 1.5 million or something, or no, 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 no,
Massive.
not crazy, not crazy. But what is it? Maybe 150,000,
No, I think we're
50,000,
about at about 60,000. So the people I want to
60,000.
talk to here are the ones who are key opinion leaders, experts who want to create YouTube channels that actually teach and educate to convert on their software product or their course or their community.
Yeah.
And these are not channels that are probably ever going to reach 1 million subscribers, and that's okay. Because that's not the goal. We're not here to entertain in most cases. We're here to get tactical and teach and grow an audience that way. That's been my strategy. That will continue to be my strategy. I'm
Maybe
not a
that's what I
comedian.
had
I'm
seen.
not an
Maybe I had
entertainer.
seen that as like the amount of views on one of the videos or something. But
Yeah,
you're
we've had
right,
some do
right?
very, very well.
So so even with the school community and the YouTube videos, or the YouTube channel and the other social channels that you're posting on, um, the actual thing here that's the really important metric is how much business or how many meetings or like what's that funnel driving to you as a company every month? Because I think like I'm sure it's significant, but that's what everyone else's goal is. If I got a couple meetings a month from, something I've got on LinkedIn and people seeing this post or that post, I mean, that's like to me, that's a huge success. That's earning some brand authority. But like, talk about yourself, man. Like, what is that driving to you as a company?
I will say YouTube's been by far the most profitable marketing channel that I've ever had. And I'm very good at other marketing channels. There's nothing quite like it because once people start actually watching and consuming your content and learning from you in a video format, the trust barrier is just gone. That you've proven that you can provide value. You've shown, usually with screen share videos and examples, that you can do this thing and this is how you can do this thing. There's no sales process. The conversion's basically instant. You compare that to cold email, which is, predictable and it's easy to copy and paste into other businesses right away and get pretty quick results. But that barrier is just so big and hard to overcome. They don't know who you are. They don't trust you. They're not looking for you. So all of those things are factors working against you. When you have a YouTube channel, they're typically looking for you. They know you, they trust you. So the conversion, it becomes, you don't even have to ask. They'll go into the description and find the link themselves. And they're coming on to the sales calls, beating down your door, wanting to work with you. What does it cost? How do I get in? And I've never had a wait list for any of my businesses in the past, but this one, we had to slow down our onboarding and create a wait list for our high ticket offers. It's an absurd thing, but it takes a while. It does not happen overnight, and it's really hard to copy and paste because
Yeah,
you can't just start making content and win. You have to keep making content for 6 to 12 months, and then hope that at that point they give a shit. But if you get a
yeah.
little bit better each day, then it's pretty much a guaranteed win. But in terms of leads and numbers, I will say I run a 60-person agency and I had to step away from that to lean into this because the 80/20 rule says, I mean, this is 90% of my revenue right now coming to me from Lead Gen J.
Right.
And we did very well in the agency world. So the metrics are great.
Wow. Yeah, that is impressive. So, what all offerings do you guys have as a, I mean, you have so many things that going on. Like what are your kind of core or top 5 things that you have?
So for Lead Gen J, it started with the course. So I never even planned on releasing a course until everyone on YouTube was like, "Where's the course? How do I sign up?" So I did like a $200 pre-release. I'm like, "All right, it's $200 if anyone wants it. I haven't created it yet, but go ahead and pay, and you'll be locked in for lifetime." And I had like 1,000 people sign up in 2 days. So I'm like, "Oh shit, I have to go make a course now." So I took Christmas break. It was like a whole week and a half out of the office and sat at home. And I basically just brain dumped everything I knew about lead generation into this course. And it was a rough draft. It was the first course I had, but the responses were just unbelievable. And people kept signing up. I dropped the link in the YouTube videos and the money started to flow in. So it started with that course. Obviously, it's evolved and grown a lot since then. Now there's coaching, there's community involved. We've got like 1,500 paid members in there. But since then, I've launched 2 additional offers. And this is what I'd recommend doing kind of one at a time. Start with a flagship offer. and then branch out from there. So I've got a low ticket offer that I downsell anyone to who can't afford kind of the primary program. And I've used a lot of AI and automation to execute that offer. It's a really freaking good offer. We run ads to it too, and those ads convert like crazy. And then the high ticket offers, we do kind of full custom lead generation build outs for companies.
Yep, absolutely. So those are the two core offerings, and your paid ads to the downsell, paid ads for both of them.
We only run paid ads top of funnel, so I'm running paid ads. It's kind of like a self-liquidating funnel, but we make a lot of money on the back end. It's 97 bucks, and we basically give you leads, we write your cold email copy, and we set up your mailboxes for you.
How did you?
So I'm
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so we make back end on the software referrals and on the mailbox infrastructure, but it has like a 20x ROAS right now. So doing really well on that. We run all the ad traffic there and then retargeting everybody to the insiders program. We don't run a single ad to our high ticket offer. Again, we had to kind of throttle the intake there.
Yep. That's awesome. How did you build the team to again, so most of us, right? Like the people that will be eventually watching this are either people currently in the lead gen community with oftentimes with their own agency, or people that are SDRs, BDRs, account executives, sales directors, VPs of sales in just revenue communities, right? And
Right.
so a lot of people are trying to figure out how can I at a low cost start doing something that actually has a little bit of production value or have people support me, right? So I'm not like just me, recording videos on my phone like this, which again, I've heard the algo is like actually pretty cool with those right now.
Yeah,
But
you
like,
never know.
how can you take it from, this, hey, me just writing posts to like actually either like building something up or building this into like real legit click funnels? Was it all you? Did you have a team? Like, how do you build that system?
So I'd say you do it in phases, and I can try and lay out the phases that most people should implement this in. This is what I did. And I did this once I was already kind of successful in business and had something to teach. So I'd say that's step one is have some resources and have something to say in these videos. Don't just regurgitate some other channel.
Yeah.
And use those resources to help make your life a lot easier. So I started off doing one video per week, and I was pretty much recording on the weekends. I would spend like half that day on the ideation and scripting phase. So what am I gonna make this video about? Is this something that other people are interested in? So I'd come up with the idea and I'd write script. That's probably the hardest part about this entire thing is this something people are going to be interested in? How do I keep them captivated? Spend the second half of the day filming and getting the instructions over to my team. And even at the beginning, I always had an editor. That is by like definitely the first person you should hire because you're probably not going to learn how to edit yourself. If you do, it's probably not going to be very good, and you're going to spend 90% of your content time, your content hours doing the editing. So try not to worry about that. You can hire editors overseas on YT Jobs, Upwork, Fiverr, um, onlinejobs.ph. I'm sure the people in this group have no trouble finding help. I hired 10 editors the first time just to edit the same video to try and find the right person. Some people have the eye and some don't. And I've been through a lot of editors through my career. But in terms of content process, spend like the first half of the day on writing and scripting. The filming itself is about an hour. Upload it all to WeTransfer, put it into Asana on a YouTube project board. And then from there, now I have a video editor, a thumbnail designer. At first, I was doing all the thumbnails myself on Canva. They weren't great. They got the job done. I've seen people just take a screenshot of the video and that works. And then posting it. The package matters a lot. The thumbnail, the title, the hook, and the content of the video all work together to make a successful video. And there's really no way to get better at it without studying it and doing it a lot. And there's a lot of good courses and YouTubers out there making content about how to get better on YouTube. And you're just going to have to live in that for a year. What makes a good title? What makes a good thumbnail? What makes a good hook? How do you storytell a little bit better? And these are all things that I'm actively working on myself. In fact, if anyone knows of a good like speaking coach or someone who does like acting coaching, I would love to get better at that. So it's a constant work in progress where you're elevating your skill set. And if you get 1% better each time, eventually you do well. You know, you go look at my videos 2 years ago, they suck. It's a totally different production and script and process. So you just got to get better each time.
So what you're telling me, 1 year, if I spend my Saturday mornings creating a video, hiring a team to chop it up, we can drive $1 million in funnel just from our YouTube.
And you don't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, the trick is don't stop. You need to be consistent. This is the same thing every YouTuber from me to Mr. Beast will say. It's all about consistency. It's true. If you don't stop, you can't lose. If you do stop, you pretty much go back to zero. You need to train the YouTube algorithm on that you're an expert on a specific topic. So you need to consistently show up making videos about that topic over and over again. And then eventually you're the key opinion leader on that topic and you'll continue to get shown.
How can an average, let's say salesperson, sales director in a SaaS role, right? How can they start? Whether again, like let's talk like baby steps to big vision, right? Like I work for a company, we sell advertising, right?
Sure.
So maybe I mean certainly anything if you feel comfortable with the content and you can create new and engaging content that keeps up with the trends, certainly you can become a thought leader in anything. But maybe what about like in some of these markets where it's a little bit more difficult? Should we be leaning into LinkedIn? Should we be leaning into Twitter? What other social channels are you finding super important and relevant here?
So I would say find a social channel that works for you. Really get down a system for that before moving on to the next one. I've had some success on other channels, Instagram, LinkedIn. We get a lot of leads from all of those platforms. I'd say none are nearly as effective as YouTube. So I think if you want to do this as a lead source, focus on YouTube. Uh, and once you do that, creating content on the other platforms is actually a lot easier. You can take those same ideas and scripts and whittle them down into three different Instagram reel scripts that you can create. So having like a source content that you spend a lot of time on is oftentimes the hardest thing. So if your source content is your blog or a LinkedIn post, great. Use all the time spent on that LinkedIn post to change it over to an X post and a Threads post. But my biggest success has been YouTube, so that's my source content. That's where I focus on, and I use AI and automation to help take that effort that I put into that YouTube video and translate it to the other platforms.
That's a really good segue. Let's talk about, some of the elements of AI and tools that are coming out and things that are making your process way more effective. Because I assume if you can harness those, like this is the time, right? If you can be ahead of the game, if there's any time in the history of the planet it's ever been easier to be on like the bleeding edge of technology, this is the shortcut, right? So let's talk about how you're using those to be more effective.
100%. And it's pretty much every step of the process now, except the editing. The editing is still not quite there yet. So one of the hardest things to do as a content creator is what content ideas you think are going to work. What are people going to enjoy hearing about? What's going to go viral? So the ideation phase, I built a scraping tool using Make, Apify, Notion, a lot of the tools a lot of the community members are familiar with. So there's YouTubers that I follow that are making content similar to what I want to make. Usually they're ones that are one or two steps ahead of me. So this scraping tool is looking at all of their recent videos, actually over the past like year, and it's categorizing them by likes, comments, relevancy. Now I've got a whole list in Notion. I'm looking at it right now of titles, channels, likes, views. And if that's a video that I want to replicate, I check a winner box and it actually runs it through my AI prompt, which is trained on actual stories from my life, my copywriting style, a lot of the scripts that I've written to help me get started on a script using the best elements of their video that made theirs go viral with my own unique kind of spin and story and hooks that I like to use. So it makes that ideation phase a lot easier. So we're using it there. We're using it to help generate thumbnails. I don't know if you've seen all of the YouTubers like smiling and pointing in different pictures. Oh, I don't like to do that in photo shoots. So we use a tool called photoai.com. that's trained on my face. And now my thumbnail designer can be like, I want a picture of Jay like on the moon, smiling and pointing up. So if you look at a lot of my recent thumbnails, you can see they kind of look AI generated a little bit. That looks like me, just like brushed.
Yeah,
Um, but they can get
good
pictures of
for
me
you.
now pointing, smiling, and doing whatever they want. So I don't have to sit there and take thumbnail pictures.
Oh,
Um,
that sounds like an amazing burden. Like remove.
yeah, it's a little bit demeaning sitting there with your photographer, just like pointing and smiling, and look shocked, look upset.
Oh, dude, there's gonna be no way I would fail at that miserably.
Yeah.
Uh,
So there's a whole list of automations that I have, not just for YouTube, but taking that YouTube video, running it through different AI prompts, because every platform needs to have context. So I can't just take like my YouTube transcript and post it on LinkedIn. I have to know what style works well on LinkedIn and take like the main core concepts of my video and try it, condense it down into a LinkedIn friendly post, usually with some kind of different graphic or creative to go along with it. So that's something that I'll feed it the graphic. It'll grab the content from my YouTube post, and now we've got a LinkedIn post. Similar styles for Twitter and X and Threads and all of the other platforms.
yeah. What are some Chris was asking here, let me do my recommended tools for slicing long form YouTube clips to short form.
So Opus.Pro is kind of the main recommended tool for doing that. I also want to preface that with I've used it and now I don't currently use it.
Yeah.
I don't. I think all of the existing tools that I've seen will read the transcript of the video and it's going to try and find a segment of that video that's all one segment that it thinks is going to perform well. In my experience, that's usually not good enough. You usually need to splice different segments to get one good short segment, like my guest asking me a question. Cut that question off, jump to my punchy answer to that question. And that's not something any of the AI tools that I've seen yet can do. It's an idea I've had for something I'd like to create. Um, it probably won't be able to do the editing for me, but that's fine because the editing is usually not the hard part. The hard part is the time stamping, which is a job now that people have, is to like watch through these podcasts and timestamp these segments that are going to perform well. So you can use it. I've never seen them actually perform really well.
Yeah, we used Opus and for a while and I mean it
Me
was
too.
a year and a half ago and it was like rough. Maybe a year ago it was rough. I mean, hopefully they get it because it's a super powerful tool that makes things a lot easier. But yeah, I mean, it's just like it's like a lot of AI tools. You know, you're like, oh, that's like 90% there, and but
Right.
like I wouldn't trust. I would trust it to get me a B on my homework, but not the A plus that I ultimately want to get. Right.
Right. And it's
So
funny. Probably tried Opus also a year and a half ago, and I went back in recently. Still not perfect, but now they've got all of these like AI generated B-roll, and it's getting significantly better. So like this stuff will, I think, all be there. HeyGen is a great example of that. For those not familiar with it, it's an AI cloning, like video cloning tool.
yep.
And I just hired someone who pitched me like, yeah, like we create HeyGen models, we do the scripting and the editing, so you don't have to be part of your content. He just submitted his first video to me yesterday. It looks great. I created a little model for him. I talked in the camera. It's much better than when I tried it like a year and a half ago.
Oh man, a year and a half ago it was bad. It was
Almost
bad. Some of those.
indistinguishable now. It works with 11 Labs. It sounds like me. It looks like me. So this stuff is all getting really close. And if you're able to figure out how to use it as like a starting point,
Yep.
then I think you could be real dangerous.
Yeah, HeyGen about a year ago I used that too, and I recorded a video and I like rolled my eyes in the video or something, and it just like had me like on loop rolling my eyes every
Oh
time I did
man,
something.
I hope you
But I
didn't
checked
post
it out.
that.
Yeah, yeah, right. Especially now with like this, God knows what it would give me. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
I'm a
fun.
tough enough one to clone, right? Give me like long red hair, glasses, but it just is what it is, man. Um, Cool. Any tools or anything that you're like specifically bullish on? Anything that you think is really dope coming out that's going to be awesome in lead gen or awesome in outbound or awesome in like what you're talking about in like hey, we're going to be using HeyGen to do X, Y, Z.
So kind of getting away from like the content creation process, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing to automate posting to platforms that don't like to be automated, that's really exciting for me. I still don't know how I'm going to offer it as a service, but I basically built my own Instagram comment bots that are actually delivering like real incredible comments using a combination of tools, including Axiom AI, Phantom Buster for LinkedIn. So I'm thinking at some point this is going to be a little bit more accessible and more mainstream, which is probably going to cause some trouble for the platforms. But until then, I'm very excited about this, especially knowing that AI is training their results on like Reddit conversations. To be able to insert myself into Reddit conversations on autopilot is pretty cool.
That is
Um,
cool. That's amazing. What any names of these programs that you think are super tight, or is it mostly stuff that you've built?
It's stuff that I've built by patching together different tools, which right now is the only solution to some of these problems. Like, how do you automate posting on Reddit? Reddit doesn't like to be automated. There's no API for Reddit where I can do that.
Yeah.
So a lot of those you need to find workarounds and ways to do it. So one exciting workaround that I've got right now is Axiom AI is working really well. It's running 24/7 on a computer that I have here, and it's pulling off a spreadsheet that I have populating through a make automation. So scraping Reddit posts, using AI to find the right Reddit post to comment on, writing really good, well contextualized responses to those, and then delivering them to that spreadsheet to be posted on Axiom. Um, so
That,
a little bit advanced, but figuring out ways to really do what I can to be omnipresent across social media platforms while just still focusing on that core YouTube idea,
yep.
focusing my time there and having everything else happen automatically.
I know you've built a lot of cool tools, right? We're competitors in some spaces. I know you've got some
Sort
smart
of.
people. Sort of. I know you've got some smart people on your team. Like I've spoken with Andrew before, and
Yeah.
when you come up with the ideas, how are you executing? Out of curiosity.
I do have some great people on my team. I'd say when I come up with the ideas, it's usually me building and getting as far as I possibly can until I get stuck. And then I've got different people that I'll call to get me unstuck. So my man Lovedeep, he's out of India. He's a wizard at making API calls and webhooks and make automations. So I'm getting a little bit better each time that I ask for his help. Because like, come fix this. I can't get this API call to go through. He'll come in and fix it and make a Loom video to show me how he did it. And that's usually where I'm getting stuck. If I run into a technological issue, I've got a community of 17,000 people that I can and reach out to for help. Like, how do I automate my Instagram comments, like
Yeah.
commenting on Instagram posts? That was a tough one to solve because they're really good at detection, um, proxies. It was a tough one to
Residential
solve,
proxies, all that whole jam to make
especially
sure.
reading them off of my sheet and delivering them off of my sheet, all through API calls.
Yeah.
It was a tough one. So I went into my community of killers and I asked if anyone had a solution for it. I tried a couple, found one that worked.
Yeah.
And the community's been gold, not just for solving my problems, but for hiring. All the people from my team you've probably interacted with, they're all hires from my community.
Yeah.
So for the
Well,
SaaS owners out there,
yeah.
that's a huge secret weapon too. Build a
Yeah.
community and hire from it.
Yeah, Tuesday Triggers. I mean, we haven't particularly hired specifically off of the Tuesday Triggers group, but man, the value when you're in a bind, the best way to get people to help you is to have shared as much as you can, and people are always willing to raise their hand and share some knowledge where you're not an expert where they are, and it's man, it's game changing, 100%. So even this, man, look, this is just sharing community knowledge and that open sharing is what makes this really special. So that being said, we're at time. I know that you've been in the process of moving. I know that this is a last minute for you. You're like, shit, man, I don't know if I can make it today. So I appreciate you coming on. Outside of that, brother, I think we're all aspiring to do what you've done. And so, again, sharing a bit of that knowledge is incredibly meaningful for all of us. So, um, yeah, appreciate it, bro, as always.
Appreciate you having me. Anyone listening who wants to go a little bit deeper on this stuff, feel free to shoot me a message. Happy to help
Yeah,
the Tuesday Triggers out.
yeah, and the school community. How do people find the school community, by the way?
The big one is school.com/lead-gen. Just lead
Yeah,
gen.
SKOOL for those people watching as well. So,
Yes, sir.
cool, man. Appreciate you as always. Awesome talk chatting, and take care, brother.
See you, Christian. Thank you.
Cheers.